Welcome everyone to this webinar called a webinar on sports activation. We're very, very grateful for the number of people who have signed up and the people who have attended here today as well. My name is Rahul, and I head the marketing here at Big City. I've worked in the promo marketing industry for the last about 12 years with some really big brands across different sectors. Really, really happy to be here. It's going to be an interesting webinar today. We have Jeremy with us, who's our special guest for the next 35-40 minutes. Jeremy and I are going to take you through this webinar on sports activation. Jeremy comes from a huge background in promotions and reward-based marketing services. He's based out of London and is the founder and CEO of Promo Veritas. Jeremy has worked with some really big brands in his career, including brands like Kraft, Coca-Cola, Co. And he has also run many impactful campaigns with like Mondelez, Amazon, PepsiCo, MasterCard across markets in the UK, Europe, and many globally as well. Jeremy is also an award-winning marketeer, and he has won a variety of marketing awards, including the 2024 King's Award for International Trade, right, which he received personally from King Charles III. Must have been really exciting to meet him and get that, Jeremy. So you'll be hearing from Jeremy shortly, and looking forward to learning a lot more about promos and sport activations from you to joining us. So, right, so let's get into it then. Yeah, we'll kickstart. Okay. So we understand how important major sports events are for brands and what it does typically for their customers and hey, for their sales as well, right? So sports definitely has the potential to galvanize an entire nation. No surprise there. And in India, we know how cricket plays on as such an important role in our everyday lives, right? So whether it's IPL or an international game, uh, and even if you're a cricket fan or not, it's somehow part of your everyday life, right? Whether you're watching it or not watching it, it's definitely part of it, right? It definitely brings people together, and with IPL especially, a lot of state teams that are involved, and there's a lot of rivalry, a lot of competition that is involved, and many conversations both online and offline that I'm sure that are happening, and definitely translating into many opportunities for brands to drive sales and engage customers by leveraging IPL. Yeah. So 2 days ago, the IPL schedule was released. I think on Sunday, if I'm not wrong. A total of 74 games starting the 22nd of March, going on all the way up to May 25th. So that's 74 games and 60 days of opportunities for brands to engage their customers and increase purchases and be part of the action, right? We also had some head turner announcements from big brands. So Reliance is getting into the action with Campa Cola, right? Where they got 200 CR of investment that was put into co-presenting rights, right? Taking on Coke and Pepsi. And this co-presenting rights were with Thumbs Up in the past. And now Campa Cola has brought in the competition straight into the on the cricketing field. So I'm sure brands are definitely looking for new and innovative ways using tech and rewards to engage these customers and increase sales. So, how do you do it though? I mean, how do you take an event or any sports event for that matter, turn that into a sale? We think it is time to look beyond logos on jerseys, as that just won't cut it anymore because customers too have an attention of a T20 match these days. Let's face it. They need more than just visibility. They're looking for a great experience, interaction, and impact. So, how do you bring that, right? It could be through rewards, rewarding structures, or using technologies like gamification, real time experiences, and so on and so forth, right? So, whether you're a sponsor or not, there are many ways that you can be part of any sports event and serve that impact straight to them. Yeah. So to tell you all about it, I'm going to pass this on to Jeremy here, who's going to take you through some great examples of some global sports campaigns that he's run, some learnings from them as well, which I think you'll definitely value. And folks, if you have any questions, there's a Q&A chat section in your Zoom window. Go straight there and put in your Q&As. They come straight to the panelists and the hosts, and we'll take it up at the end of the session when we're done. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Jeremy.
Lovely. Okay, thank you, and a warm welcome to all of you in India from a cold and grey London. So next slide, please. We're going to be talking about how you can harness the power of sport, whatever size you are. Unfortunately, we're going to mainly be talking about the big brands because they're the ones that you'll be familiar with out of Europe. But some of the techniques will apply whether you're in financial services, whether you're a B2B, or you're a small company. Next slide. So about me. Um, Next slide, please. Not next time. As Raoul said, I've been a marketeer for several decades. So I was promotions director for Coca-Cola, where I ran the Olympics for them and I ran the World Cup. But after that, I also was marketing director for Sega, the games company. And we spent 24, or my managing director before I joined, spent $24 million on sponsoring shirts for football teams, Arsenal, Sampdoria, Saint Etienne in France. In every country in Europe, we sponsored a major team. And he spent over $20 million on doing that before I joined. He left me with $4 million to make it work. Within 12 months, the company was closed. Sega now only exists as games on a PlayStation rather than the games console itself. So the title of this talk is very much relevant. It's going beyond just having a jersey name. It's about being integrated and being a part of that sporting community. So my company now, we work with 54 of the top 100 UK brands, but we do work internationally, over 90 countries and 1,600 campaigns a year. So next, we know a little bit about promotional marketing and sports sponsorship. And it's worth $100 billion US worldwide, which is a pretty significant amount of money. And that must be for a reason. It must be that it works. So let's have a look at one of the biggest sports sponsors. Next, Coca-Cola. So this is obviously a company that I'm very familiar with. They've got not 10 years, they've got 100 years of sport-linked heritage. They were very much one of the first when they launched. And they continue to be sponsoring the major tournaments around the world. What their strategy is now is not shirts. They're not just about shirts. They are about two things. One is pouring rights, which is having access to the millions of people that go to events in the stadiums. So they will pay money to be the brand and beat Coca-Cola. And that's partly their payback. But the other area is about supermarket sales. And their strategy for the last few years has been a combination of ticket experiences, and big number prizes of low value. Now, this is a change because many of you will be running promotions and you'll be thinking about having a nice big $10,000, $20,000 prize. The Coca-Cola approach is not. It's win a ball. But there will be 1 million footballs to be had, and they're Coca-Cola branded. So they've now got 1 million people around France or Germany or the UK kicking a Coca-Cola ball and thinking that they are winners. Whereas if they gave a high value prize, they could only have a few prizes. So I want you to think not just about value of prizes, but the volume of prizes. Because if there's more volume of prizes, people think their chances of winning will be higher and they'll be more inclined to participate. But let's also deal with the other part of Coca-Cola, which is the experience side. All right, the experiential. Because they've been working with FIFA, with the Olympics for so long, they can get things that the ordinary sponsors can't get. So I organize the mascots. So for the the World Cup, every team could have a mascot flown over by Coca-Cola who would walk onto the pitch before the match with the players holding the flag, the national flag. Or in tennis, it might be a ball boy, where you can train the boys up, or the girls, and they are flown over and they are the ball boys or ball girls. Or at golf tournaments, they're caddy assistants. So you're giving people a chance to be part of the experience and not just watch it from a grandstand. So those are the two approaches that Coca-Cola take: volume and experience. Next. Nike as you can imagine, they will be doing things all the time with sport. But actually, to be frank, their involvement is basically a logo on a jersey. They're not doing much more. Red Bull next. Red Bull, the sports drink, they're very heavily involved in Formula One, and they are very much not about being on the jersey. They are very much about integrating Formula One into their brands. And I'll show you an example in a moment about what they do. Next, Vodafone is a national network, another brand that is actually mainly about putting logos on jerseys. They give away tickets to their members, but they don't actually involve their audience very much more. And this is what I'm trying to fight against and say, don't just stick your name on the front of a jersey. Adidas, well, they're now the partner with the Indian cricket team. Their name is on the jersey, or their logo's on the jersey. But I tell you now, you will start to see far more integrated activities coming through in the next few weeks from Adidas. So you will see a lot more experiential activities. They're doing major partnership with retailers, and they're bringing out new ranges as well. So I think you've got the top, Vodafone, who are pretty stuck in their old ways, and you've got Adidas in India, who are going to be doing some innovative things in the future. Okay, next slide. So my particular top tips, and these will be available for you at the end, so you don't have to take notice. Next, there are 9 top tips for achieving success. Number 1 is define what you really want to do. One of the problems with sports shop sponsorship is it has been driven by what the chief executive likes. Oh, I like golf. Let's sponsor golf. But is that actually what my audience like? Is that actually going to achieve sales? So somehow you have to fight against the desires of your senior management and try to be rational. And having clear objectives will guide your strategy. And that's also linked to then the next point, which is about the target audience, right? The better the alignment, the more effective your sponsorship. So can you imagine Rolls-Royce sponsoring golf? Yes, I can. Can you imagine Rolls-Royce sponsoring rugby? Well, maybe not so much. The audience and the very physical nature of it doesn't fit with a super luxury car. So you've got to make sure that the brand and the audience work hand in hand. Next, engage with the fans. If you just put your name on a shirt, you're not really doing the full job. So you've got to get into the fan base. That's whether that's via fan clubs, whether it's via chat rooms, via experiential appearances, via ticket giveaways, exclusive offers, social media. But it's the fans that are important. If all that you do is spend money in the stadium, you're not getting through to the real people. And the people aren't stupid, all right? They know that you paid a lot of money to put your name on a shirt or for a banner headline, but there's no direct benefit to them from that. So if they're the way in which you can give benefit them, so if you're a Coca-Cola, then maybe it's on match day for season ticket holders, something that involves them and includes them. And the fourth one is blooming obvious, but it doesn't always happen, as happened with Sega and our sponsorship of Arsenal. What is a Sonic the Hedgehog got to do with a Premier League football team? There's no direct connection, other than perhaps the age of the people watching. You want that integration to be natural. And so it's all part of the same, and it feels right. So maybe you go more than just a banner advert. You create a sporting challenge. You name an award after yourself. You do on-pack games. You add value in some shape or form. But the key thing is it has to feel natural. Next. Experiences. I mentioned what Coca-Cola do, that they have the mascot experience, behind the scenes access. All right. So meet and greet, VIP tickets. So if you're sending someone, don't just send them to sit in the stadium up the top. Put them down there next to the dugout, next to the managers, next to the players, where they can actually see. That's a good way of doing it. When we ran a promotion for the London Olympics with Cadbury, we made very, very special activity in that it was a Willy Wonka golden ticket. So inside the chocolate bars, we created 1,000 golden tickets. We hid them in the chocolate bars, and then we hid the chocolate bars all around the country. But we didn't just leave it to random. We made sure that in every postcode area in the UK, every postcode area, from Scotland down to the bottom, there was at least one. That was a brilliant success. Why? Because that means that we could use the national press to communicate it, and the local press got very excited because they knew that in Manchester there were winners, in Leeds there were winners, and the Leeds newspapers could talk about it, and the Manchester newspapers. It was very heavily controlled and very successful. So you can make things exciting, or you can create memorable connections. You have photographs with the sports stars. You hand out certificates. You hand out dummy gold Olympic medals, something that will leave a memory with the audience. And we're talking about photos. Leverage the power of the athletes. All right, a lot of fans will be in love with their athlete idols. So how can you connect? Right, this is a cost, because normally when you're involved in sports sponsorship, you sponsor an event, an activity, but you don't normally always get access to the players, to the sports people, to the participants. They will often have their own contracts. So try where possible to include the players in your master contract. Otherwise, it will cost you dearly to connect with the sports people on a separate basis. They'll have separate agencies and separate photo rights. So try to include them, personal rights, into your main contract. Next, the community. There are fans and there are the community. There is the community. Wherever there's a football stadium, there will be fans, but also around that will be people living in the local area. And they may not be actually massive big fans, because there are 500,000 people coming into their stadium on a weekly basis to see the Olympics. So try to involve the community and give them something back, so that they don't feel that the sporting event is an imposition, is a bad event. That normally involves working with supermarkets, because that's where the community will go. But it could be community groups, sport clubs, bingo halls, or whatever. And then also take it down. If it's rugby you're involved in, or your cricket, go for junior rugby. Put money into the growing base of the sport, and that will then rise up and carry you. Don't just go for giving David Beckham a load of money. You need to give the new Beckhams a little bit of money too. And measurement. Just because the chairman likes golf doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. But regardless, even if you're doing golf, you still got to measure it, because then next year you can go back and show the chairman that it was a waste of money. So make sure you have metrics. Now, that may involve you paying money. You may have to get onto a tracker study. You may have to do online work. You may have to stand in the stadium with a clipboard going, hello, do you remember my company name? And then you adjust your strategy based on what is working. In marketing, there is a famous phrase by the marketing director of Unilever, which is, I know that only half of my marketing money is effective. The problem is I don't know which half. So in other words, he doesn't know what anything is effective. You've got to try to beat that. You've got to try working well. We would do DMs. So we would have massive, big banners in one, and experiential people in another. And we would assess what the consumer reaction and the feedback was. Now, clearly, you can only do that if you've got some big budgets and you're involved for a long time. If it's a one-day event, that's not going to work. Next. Long term. Coca-Cola years of being involved in sports sponsorship, 90 years, 80 years with the Olympics, yeah, and about 60 years with major football tournaments. So take the long-term view if you can. The IPL is coming up in March, but it will be again next year and the year after. Oh, whenever. Yeah. So if you can get in early and you can start to lay the seeds for future, you may not get your payback immediately, but you will get associated with the brand, and that will be good for you. And lastly, be bold, be brave. Don't just follow what you did last year. Don't just follow what other brands have done. Do something different, right? Get yourself noticed, and maybe steal some of the things I'm about to talk about. Okay, next, we're going to look at some of the examples. The ICC has got a number of global partners. It's the one that has been hosting it, and that's going to be quite exciting. Unfortunately, we are involved in a couple of these sponsors. I can't tell you what their activities are at the moment because they're confidential, but some of them will be based on the next examples that I'm going to be talking about. Next. Cricket. Booking.com is a online hotel booking service. And they were the official sponsors of the Cricket World Cup 2 years ago. And they did what other brands will usually do. Look at that, win a trip to the World Cup final. Now, with them, it's integrated. They're a travel company. So it feels okay. It's not a problem. There was no purchase necessary. It was a free-to-enter activity. It was fast. Entry was fast. Entry was easy. 100,000 entries, of which, confidentially, I'll tell you that 70% of them were not known to Booking.com before. So they were able to increase their database through the simple provision of a few tickets to an event. And we managed all those arrangements for them. But it wasn't a very special thing. There was no VIP aspect to it. They stopped the budget at that point. Next. This is a different one. This is a crisp packet, and the 100 is another cricket activity, but it's a fast cricket activity. For those people that think it's 100 balls and then it stops, whatever the result. So the score is based on how many runs you get in those 100. And here, strangely enough, they gave away 100 pairs of tickets, so quite a high number via an on-pack and the use of Instagram. And it was aimed at a younger audience, just like the 100-ball cricket tournament is aimed at. And it went very well. What we liked about this one was that they used social media and on-pack at the same time, and they leveraged that. And social media can be expensive. You end up spending money to advertise. But if you get going and you start to showcase your winners, then it develops its own momentum. And so here, the 100 winners were not drawn at the end of the promotion. They were drawn, there were 10 every week for 10 weeks. So at the end of the first week, we could talk about, we've had 10 winners. At the end of the second week, here's another 10 winners. And you're building up 20, 30, 40 happy winners. And then that means that they talk about it on their social media and it snowballs. And it also builds believability. So my lesson here is if you've got a number of prizes, don't wait till the end. Shop it, slice it up salami style, and do your lots more draws along the way. Next. Okay, this is Red Bull. Yes, of course, they could offer tickets to the Grand Prix. Absolutely. But how do you win them? Well, they wanted involvement from the community. They wanted people to get excited. They wanted people to put some effort in. All right. If all you have to do is send an X or an Instagram post, are you really a committed fan? Maybe not. Here, Red Bull said, design the car. Well, not the car itself, but the graphics for the car. And if we like your car design, we'll not only put it on the car for you, we'll send you to Miami to see it race. Now, how good is that? Right? If you're interested in art, you're a designer, that is like being up in having your picture next to a Picasso. All right? It's something that is about bragging rights, where you can boast about it to your friends. So that's something that we always want you to remember. Try to big things up. So although there was only one winner, we actually created 50 certificates for runners-up. It didn't cost us anything. We just did a pretty certificate. You get somebody with nice handwriting to put their name on it. You send in the post, and they can go to all their friends. Look at me, I'm a winner. And believe me, in 10 years' time, when they're applying for jobs and they're putting their CV down, they will be saying they were runner up in a designer car competition. All right. That will stay with them, and Red Bull will stay with them for a long time. So you can be creative. You can get direct involvement. And we were amazed at the quality of the entries that came through. And it proved to be a very difficult challenge. Um, uh, Actually, it was so good that Red Bull decided that they would use two designs, one for half of the Grand Prix race and one for the other half. So that was good of them. Right, next. The Corona Olympics happened last year in Paris, and Corona was the first, Corona Zero was the first zero alcohol brand that's ever sponsored in the Olympics. And we ran for them both a trade and a consumer event. So that's the next pickup. If you're doing a consumer event in supermarkets, retailers, fine, but don't forget the retailers. If you can do something to promote it with retailers, they will then promote it to the consumers, and that will enhance. So for the consumer, it was win tickets via an on-pack offer. For the trade, it was build the biggest and best display in your store, send in a photograph, and you could then win a trip to the Olympics. So we then took over a whole hotel, a 350 room hotel for the whole month of June, quite near most of the venues. And that was the Corona Hotel. And because we dominated that hotel, we could brand it. We had staff in the foyer greeting people. We could organize special dinners, events. There were bus tours. Yes, it's expensive, but it was a memorable, magical moment. And those retailers went home loving Corona. Those consumers went home loving Corona. It was a full-on experience, and a big nightmare to organize. Next, Budweiser. So, win tickets to the FIFA World Cup. Okay, fine. What's special about that, you may ask? Well, they also had runners-up prizes. They had 1,000 discount vouchers and then some official England shirts. Their mechanic was very simple, and this is increasingly popular now. Buy, scan, enter. So you, in theory, you buy the product, you scan a code, a QR code, which will be on the inside of the pack to stop naughty people scanning it while they're still in the supermarket and not buying the pack, and then you enter. So buy, scan, enter is an increasingly popular one. Often we will link that to submit a photograph of your till receipt, because ideally we want to also demonstrate that they've actually bought the product. So there are two ways of doing that. Either the entrant submits their till receipt when they enter. So everybody, you get 10,000 people entering, you get 10,000 photos of till receipts. And then we check them all. Or the other way around it is people enter, they don't send their till receipt at that point, but you tell them up front, hold on to your till receipt, because if you're a winner, we will want to see it. And that way you get your 10,000 people, you're not spending a lot of time checking till receipts. And then when you pick your winner at the end, you can go back and say, have you got your till receipt? The problem is a lot of people don't have their till receipts. And then you're turning around and saying, sorry, you lose because you haven't got till receipt, which is not a very nice way of building a relationship with the consumer. I know they didn't follow the rules, but seriously, do you retain your till receipt for a pack of beer that you bought 3 weeks ago? So you have to balance up the needs of being a purchase linked or just of being a very friendly giveaway brand. Next. Sorry, can we just go back? Go back one. What's interesting here is the graphics. In that, if you look at that center graphic, the shape of the stadium is the shape of the Budweiser logo. They've integrated very nicely with the pack. They've also got is that Lionel Messi, I think, holding the tournament with a Budweiser background. So they've actually got the celebrities and endorsement, and it's clearly a very official activity. Next. Win cricket tickets this summer. There you go. I bet you'll like to see the England-India match. I don't actually know what the result was. I should have checked. This was a retailer promotion aimed at small shopkeepers in England. Carabao is a drink. It's a bit like a Red Bull. It's an energy drink. And it ran for 3 months. And it was buy your product from the wholesaler, put it in your store, send in a photograph, and then you can be in a chance to win England versus Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India cricket tickets. Now, small shopkeepers are difficult audiences to win over. The main thing that they like has to be money. We've tried holidays in the past. They don't like it. Cars, they don't like it. Vans are quite good, but holidays are bad. Why? Because it means taking time off work. And if you take time off work, who's going to run the shop? And if you have to pay a manager to do it, you're losing profit. So they don't often take a lot of holiday. But these were one-day matches. Travel was provided. They could get away quickly. In many cases, our shopkeepers, quite frankly, were from those countries, from the opposing companies, from Sri Lanka, India, or Pakistan. So there was a bit of a national identity there, and it worked incredibly well. The quality of the displays that Carabao got were excellent. Their sales were up 28% in the small sector, in the small shop sector. And all of that worked very easily on a low budget. Next. My last point on the 10 rules of success was be bold and be brave. Well, this is Pringles. Pringles sponsored Wimbledon, the England the world tennis tournament. They sponsored Wimbledon, but they changed the name, as you can see in the bottom right, to Pringlesden, and they had a lot of fun. So they appeared. They were giving away products at Wimbledon. They had the umpire, the old man there on the right. Celebrities. They had tennis players involved. But in the supermarket, they brought it to life. That is their packaging that was sold in British stores, not your normal type. Now, any of you who play tennis know that when you go out and you buy tennis balls, they come in a cardboard tube, like a Pringles container. And that's exactly what the creative agency came up with. These are not tennis balls. It's going to make you stop when you're in the supermarket and you're walking down the crisp aisle and you see something that says, these are not tennis balls. It's out of place. It's a bit shocking. It's a bit surprising. And for a big brand to be big and bold, we thought was a really great thing. Well, the results were damn good. They had a very good summer of sales off the back of that. So if you can interfere with your pack, if you can be bold and you can be brave, great. Okay, so let's just have, next slide, let's just have a quick look at when it doesn't go quite right. This is Red Bull again. This is not one that we were involved in. They offered a prize draw to win a VIP trip to the Belgian Grand Prix with flights and accommodation. By the way, anybody who's got any questions, put them in the chat and I'll answer them later. But I could ask you easily, if you wanted to vote in the chat, who would like a VIP trip to the Belgian Grand Prix with flights, accommodation, tickets, etc.? We'd all go, me. Well, we would until we hear this story. Because there was one unlucky winner next. And he was unlucky because of the way the flight was handled. It just didn't go right. So this is Central Europe. And he was flown from England to Cologne Airport in Germany. Anyone know when the Belgian Grand Prix is? Probably in Belgium. He was flown Ryanair, which is our cheap bucket flight, into Cologne Airport. From there, next, he was left instructions to take a taxi to a town called Maastricht, where his hotel was. Maastricht is in Holland. Is that where the Belgian Grand Prix is? No. He was then given his tickets and told to take a taxi to the circuit, which was now in Belgium. Hooray! He's now gone through 3 countries to get to Belgium, the Grand Prix. And he had to pay for his tickets on that. And his tickets at the stadium were simply grandstand. just them with all the others. No pit inspection. No meet the players. And then worse, he had to take another taxi to get to Brussels to take his Ryanair plane back to England. And the worst thing was the plane was leaving at such a time he had to leave the tournament, the Grand Prix, before the end of the race. And actually, on that particular day, Jenson Button, the Englishman, won. So that wasn't good for an Englishman to miss out. So hands up who thinks that that is a VIP trip. Hands up who would be interested in having it. Oh, I forgot one thing. The hotel room was a 3-star, and the winner went with his brother, and it was a double bed. Could have been worse. They might not have been brothers. So that's why I said at the beginning, one unlucky winner. Next, because he complained. He complained to our authorities, and he actually was upheld. His complaint was upheld because they said it wasn't a VIP trip. None of the details was explained. The fact it was grandstand was not VIP. The fact it was Ryanair was not VIP. Did he get compensation? Couldn't possibly comment. Anyway, some of you will be wondering about how you can get involved in sports sponsorship without paying all the money. Next slide. Yeah. This is the debate about being official or unofficial. Well, clearly, if you're an official sponsor, you're going to be paying millions of dollars, and you're going to have to spend more millions to leverage it. In my world at Coca-Cola, it was at least a 4-to-1 ratio. So if we spend $1 million on a contract, then the budget to make it work would be at least $4 million, 4 times that. So that can be a lot of money. You get access to the rights, to the images, to the logos, to the advertising, etc., and tickets. So it is all good. The problem with being an official is everything's got to be approved. It can take weeks to get FIFA or the Olympic Committee to approve a simple pack artwork. And maybe you don't have the time. The second fact is that the tickets you get are the tickets you get. You're not allowed to go out and buy tickets on the black market. If they give you 100 tickets, that's all you've got to work with. And then if you want to give away T-shirts or merchandise, you can't go around and make your own and then put the logo on it. You have to buy their merchandise. And a T-shirt will cost you $40. So there's a lot of money involved. And then equally, you're not usually to get the rights to the athletes or the sports people who have their own photo rights. So being official is good in one way, but it's controlled and constrained in another. It's tight. So the other way is to be unofficial. Next. And if you are unofficial, you get none of those rights. You can't use the official logos. You can't say Olympics. You can't say Indian World Cup. You can't go anywhere near those titles because they will have you. All that you can say is something like a global football tournament taking place in Paris or wherever it is, global sporting event. You've got to be very obtuse. But you can do one of 3 things. Ambient marketing, where you, like Adidas here, just appear in the environment, in unexpected places. They're just around. Maybe there's no direct reference to sporting, but because everybody's mind is thinking about the major sporting event, then you automatically associate Adidas with that sporting event. Now, be careful, because things like the Olympics and the World Cup, the host countries create a zone. Within a mile of a stadium, they will ban advertising for rivals. It's part of the deal that the IOC or the World Cup make with host nations. It's almost blackmail. Ambush marketing. You can just turn up with a caravan or a lorry unit and distribute your packs of Pringles, even if another brand is the official crisp. Now, clearly, you might get told to move on, and then you just move on. So you keep it fluid, you keep going. And if you come across any problems, you just get the hell out. And viral and buzz marketing. So you can be on social media with your stuff, with an association, with maybe some rival sports stars, with some link, and you can do that. And actually, the final area, which isn't on here, is you can do media sponsorship. So the TV channels will be broadcasting the event. They'll be broadcasting the cricket World Cup or whatever. and you could sponsor that. And it's possible that Nike are the sponsor of the actual event, but could be that Adidas are sponsoring the TV coverage on a particular channel, which is a bit sneaky. But that's what marketing's all about: being bold and brave. Okay, next. That is the end of our whistle tour into sports marketing. There are many little hints and tricks, but I think the top 10 that you'll have access to will at least give you some indication of where we should go from here. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope that was useful.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. That was really insightful, and it's great to know how reward programs and promotions are run across the world, and also the things that you guys look at in terms of execution, or customer experience, and the right kind of tech. Right. I really like the point where you said don't forget the retailers, because if they're excited, they'll promote your offer and make it successful to the customers. I think
Yeah.
that makes a full campaign as well. That was really, really insightful, right? Folks, if you have any questions, just want to remind you that there's a Q&A button below, and you can always write to us, and we'll circle back on those questions after the end of the session. But I think for me, the key takeaways for me were a couple of things, right, Jeremy? So firstly, don't negotiate on campaign planning, right? Get into it, get it right from start to the finish. Find the right partner who has the experience handling these kind of campaigns on scale is very important, because there's a lot at stake, right? Including huge associations with some really big brands, right? And picking the right rewards, they have to be relevant to the time, aspirational or massish, but makes all the difference. So someone who's going to help you do that, someone who can run those rewards and drive those rewards is very important. And the mechanic in which you're planning to deliver these rewards, right? Whether it is a contest, a sweepstake, an assured reward, or a UGC program that you plan to do, like the one that you spoke about in Red Bull, that really is going to get all the traction and all the entries, right? And that depends mostly on the budget and the kind of communication the brands want to make and the kind of noise that they want to make, right? But in today's time, what's equally important is the technology. Yeah. So how will you deliver the reward, right? With sports, gamification sits at the heart of it, right? So whether you're using cricket as a game, or football, or predict and win, which is real time, this literally decides how customers are going to engage with you. And basically that's what's going to increase your purchases when it's gotten right. Right. So customers also want seamless, no nonsense kind of technology that makes reward redemption easier for them. So Jeremy also showed some global work. Here are some sports activations that are from India, right? So we've seen campaigns and we've run campaigns where all these things have come together and delivered impact. So let's take Cadbury's Champions Pack, for example. Right. So Cadbury created a special Champions Pack for this promo, and the objective here was obviously to drive new purchases and repeat purchases during IPL. And they had an initial associations with Mumbai Indians as a team. They had three kinds of customers here, though. So who they wanted to incentivize. So they had the new customers, they had repeat purchases, and they had customers who returned without any purchases. So it was a mixture of both sales and engagement that they wanted to build, right? So we created a platform for them that brought them all together, right? So the customers who purchased the pack, they scanned a QR code, entered the platform, which rewarded them with runs and cashbacks and smartwatches, right? So, but customers who made repeat purchases earned more runs and had a better chance to move up in the leaderboard that we had created and win rewards like signed cricket bats and team jerseys. And for fans who came back again but without any purchases, how do you engage them? So we built modules like predict and win, cricket trivia, which kept them engaged through and through, and that also earned them runs as well. But there was also a special added layer that was added into this platform, which honored the ground staff, where they could send messages directly to the ground staff at the Mumbai Cricket Academy, and that was added as part of this. So this reached close to about 300 million customers in total through this campaign digitally, and it received an engagement of up to 5%. So this campaign is also a great example of how you can take an association and go beyond the logo usage using tech and rewards. It's not just about having a sponsorship, right? And and another example that we did was with Britannia, and we ran a campaign with them called the Britannia Hungry for Gold campaign. And this was a program that was run during the 2024 Paris Olympics. And Britannia again wanted to engage their customers on this occasion and get them to cheer for their favorite athletes during the Olympics, right? The objective was obviously to engage these customers post purchase once they've picked up the pack. While they had no association with Olympics as a property, they had partnerships with some of the athletes who were participating in badminton, track running, fencing, boxing, including Neeraj Chopra from the javelin contingent. Yeah. So as a nation, we are hungry for sports, and Britannia want to inspire the next generation to pick up the lesser known sports and dream that one day they can also be representing the country with sports. So Britannia made special packs around these sports, and customers who bought these special Britannia packs got to visit a platform where they played games around these sports, earned them scores, and that gave them rewards around cashbacks, and also the top 100 customers who topped these leaderboards got a chance to win watch Olympics live in Paris. So a total of 20 million packs were live in the market, and we saw participation of close to about 25% in this campaign. And as an agency, we built these rewards, we built the technology, and we also handled the logistics of these winners going to Paris. It was really gratifying to do all this because it gave us a chance to be part of such a marquee campaign. So I think these kind of campaigns are solid proof on how you can go beyond just having a logo on jersey, right? And how you can use rewards, technology, and great campaign management, more importantly, to bring the event to life through your brand. And that's very important. So we understand that IPL is around the corner, and most of the brands right now are definitely planning something, different campaigns around these 60 days that are going to start from the 22nd of March. And we hope this helped in your planning, because we often see brands just put logos on jerseys and forget about it. So I think we urge you to do much more than that and look beyond it. Because if your objective is to increase sales and build engagement, plan the right kind of rewards that will increase the sales, and have the right kind of technology that's going to deliver them seriously. And more importantly, work with a partner who can bring it all together and deliver this seamlessly across all kinds of scale that you're looking for, because it's a key trading event and you want to make sure you're working with the best, right? So yeah, so that brings me to end of my session. Thanks for listening to us, guys. We really enjoyed talking to all of you. I hope this helped. We are now open for any Q&A. If there are any questions, so we're just going to check our chat and come back to you quickly on what kind of questions that are there, and we'll take it up. So I have one question that has come in, which I quickly want to take. So okay. So what are your thoughts, Jeremy? I think you can take this, right? So what are your thoughts on integrating a social cause with sports events, right? Given that non-profits cannot offer deliverables like Coke and Red Bull and Britannia, so how do you suggest we can create impactful engagement and meaningful partnerships in this space? So, and these are for non-profits. Jeremy, do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. Well, otherwise I'll throw it back to you. No, I think non-profits, the challenge there is, are they going to be paying large amounts of money to get the sports rights? Because if you're a non-profit and you go out and spend millions on something, maybe the community that backs you are going to say, is that good value for money? Now, I'd like to think that the sports owners, the Olympics or the IPL or whoever, will give you a deal. In fact, it should almost be a law for every 10 commercial sponsors, give one free to a non-profit. That should be their charitable donation. But assuming you can get away with sponsorship, I think a non-profit can do things. They don't have to have a service. They're looking for awareness. All right. And if they can use sports to generate awareness to achieve their goals and increase donations, then I think that's fine. But there does need to be a good business case for it. Just spending money just to get prostate cancer on a shirt probably is not good value.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jeremy. I think there's another question that's come in. uh, which is about MMA sporting events in India. So someone's asked, do you think there's a long-term future for MMA sporting events in India? And how do you see brand integrations and associations given the nature of the sport? So I'll take this. So yeah,
Sorry, what
definitely.
is MMA?
MMA is mixed martial arts. I
Oh,
think
right.
it's
Okay. Yeah, it's
yeah, the mixed martial arts.
cage
It's a full
fighting.
contact sport that's pretty famous now.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely it has a long-term future, and I think we'll have to check what kind of full contact combat is firstly allowed in India. And I think if brands want to be part of it, there are sizable number of brands who are all about energy, who are all about slightly masculine in nature in terms of the kind of products that they sell. They would definitely want a piece of that pie, right? Because I think your energy and your supplements in terms of workout supplements and gym supplements that the gym goers pretty much use are fair game in terms of what kind of brand associations can happen. And I think the way MMA can really come up is if they start associating with these brands and start promoting their sport as well. That's how I think both the brand and the event will sort of grow. Because if they start offering free tickets to watch an MMA event, whilst still be partnering with a brand that talks about energy and everything, I think it's in for both. And I'm sure there are plenty of strategies that you can bring out there, right? For sure. So there's another question that's come in for Jeremy. Jeremy, sorry, you had something to
Yeah,
say?
I think just a word of caution on something like MMA. Violent
Yeah,
sports.
yeah,
All right. It has to be an edgy brand that will consider it. A Coca-Cola would never go near
of
MMA.
course. You're right.
All right.
Right.
Maybe Red Bull would. And the reason is that it's dangerous. All you need is for one person to die, and it was at a Coca-Cola tournament, and Coca-Cola get the rap. So I think you've got to pick the right brand, and I can't see major brands doing it. Boxing in Europe is still big, but the big brands are walked away from it. We had a boxer die 2 weeks ago in England. That's not something that a brand like Vodafone or whoever want to be associated with. So my tendency would be to avoid something like MMA for the risk reasons.
Got it. Jeremy, I think next question is straight up your alley. I think this is written for you. Someone's written, what are the pointers that you have to keep in mind when negotiating an IPL deal? So something around a sport event. What are the key things that you want to keep in mind when you're negotiating an IPL deal? Do you have something to add there?
Yeah, first of all, it comes down to what your objectives are. So if it's a one-off or you're thinking about a long-term commitment. So if you want a long-term commitment, you buy 1 year, but you always take the options for future years. Because what you don't want is your rival to see it was successful and come in next year and it's an auction. And either you get it, but you paid a lot more, or they get it and you've lost out. You've cleared the way for them. So always make sure that you have options for the future built in. The second thing is you've got to watch out for things like cancellation and reputational damage. So if you are backing a sports star or even an event and it's cancelled or the sports star goes and takes drugs and is caught on camera, you need an exit clause where you get your money back. All right. If the Olympics are hit by terrorism and it doesn't go ahead, are you still paying your 50 million? No. You've got to try and build in an exit clause under certain circumstances. The other thing, I suppose, is be very, very clear about what they're giving you. If they just say, we'll give you tickets, no. I want to know how many, to what events, what level. How can I buy extra tickets? Because you'll never have enough. And you want to be able to buy at preferential rates. I mentioned that T-shirts will cost you $40, so you want to negotiate and get them for 20. So it's the details like that, and then you want an SLA. You do not want to be a sponsor of the Olympics and sending your artwork and waiting 6 weeks to get approval. You want an SLA of 7 days.
Interesting. 7 days. Yeah. Does that work with all kinds of global events and everything? I think 7 days is a good time to have.
Well,
Is that why?
you can ask for it, whether they give it, but if they don't give it to you, then you've got leverage.
Makes sense.
They
Of
owe
course,
you.
of course, of course.
The other aspect to build into a contract is not about a contract between me and you, but about you, the sponsor, the sponsoring entity, and rivals. So if I'm Nike, I will want to be building in blocks for Adidas.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Got it. Got it. Thanks. We have another question that's come from an anonymous attendee, but I'll just read it anyway. So, ATL is super important to create buzz when we talk about sports. What are the other mediums that you can suggest that create buzz for brands and also cater to different target groups age-wise? I think let me just add my 2 cents before I hand it off to Jeremy, but I think definitely social is one of the things that you can take up as part of the campaign. But when brands plan campaigns like these, so they're planning to activate this on many channels, right? So it can be a hoarding, it can be a PR activity on newspaper, or it can be social, it can be digital marketing, for example, online, where they target you through app-based marketing and whatnot. So I think brands at any given time are firing from eight different cylinders at the same time when it comes to campaigns like these. And I think it's really, really important to do that, because if you want a very impactful campaign, you got to speak about it on all channels that your consumers are consuming anyways, right? So we've seen this with a campaign that we ran with Britannia, and they it was a World Cup campaign called Britannia Khao World Cup Jao. It was a marquee event that they'd previously gotten it right in '99, and they did that in 2019, and they went all over town painting it red, including shelf talkers in a supermarket, including danglers in a general trade store, uh, doing an event at a Taj where they got some legendary veteran cricketers to come and promote the campaign, and social media, and announcing the winners on social media,
Everywhere.
PR activity, and an ad campaign on the newspaper. They painted the town red with it. And when you do a combination of all these things, I think that's where the impact is the highest. And that's where it comes to a place where you can measure the impact of a campaign like that, is what I think. Jeremy, if you want to add something around this,
I like that. The other thing to remember is normally you're not the only sponsor.
yeah,
There will
of
be
course.
other sponsors that are on the list. Talk to them, work with
Yeah,
them, right? You're in an exclusive club of maybe 10 companies, big, good, solid brands. So you can do a cross relationship. You can go to DHL, the courier service, or Air India
correct.
and do deals with them because they want to big up, right? And you're all media partners now. Yeah. If you're a beer, you'll get Air India on your cans for free because you're all IPL sponsors. So be part of that club.
Yeah, yeah. There's another interesting question that's come in, Jeremy, and I think this is, you can take it if you want to. I'll also add to it. But how do you see AI transforming sports activations for global brands in the next few years? That's a very interesting question, I think, coming to the times today.
Well, there's got to be a question about AI at every marketing event, hasn't there? Um,
I'm sure.
I think the first area is in the area of generating the creatives. Not so good for physical design companies like yourselves, but
Yeah,
we are using AI to generate images. Um, that last image on my slide of the face of me, and that's all, folks, was me doing it in 3 minutes on an AI chatbot, on an AI bot. So I think there will be a lot more use of AI for the generation of creative output, but I don't think it will be very much used for creative ideas. I think we still need that creativity. Measurement. This is where I think you will find AI will become measured because AI is able to scan masses of data from social media. It can scan references to Adidas across all media channels and go, yes, before the Olympics, after the Olympics, in a way that maybe humans and other data can't do. So I think that's the area
but
that
do you
it'll
think?
come into. Maybe the other area will be in image generation,
Yeah.
because if you want to get Lionel Messi on board, that's going to cost you a lot of money. But you can create a Lionel Messi lookalike with AI,
But
and that
Jeremy,
will.
do you think AI can automate some parts of running the campaign itself, a promotion? For
Yeah,
example, I can see it in UGC campaigns where customers are uploading, whatever we've asked them to upload, and instead of having a manual moderator who's checking and judging the entry, you can have an AI who's doing it, right? So, do you think? I'm just speaking aloud here, but thinking aloud as well. But I'm thinking, do you think that there are a couple of processes in a promotional process that can be automated using AI? Do you see that in the future happening?
Yes, I think first level judging can be, but be very careful. AI is not perfect. There was a
Yeah.
campaign in the UK run by Pepsi, their crisp brand, and it was have a famous footballer, Gary Lineker, you may know of him. Uh, and if you send your picture in on social media, then they would use AI to put it up on the big screen in the stadium. And
Oh,
you and Gary Lineker would be seen by 50,000 people. All right, that sounds a great idea. Yeah. Unfortunately, some people send in pictures of Stalin, the Russian dictator. Somebody sent in a picture of Hitler, and that went on the stadium
oh, that's not good.
because the system was automated and it didn't, and the system didn't know who Stalin was. So there are system problems. AI is not the perfect solution for everything. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so that brings us to the end of Q&A. I think this has been a great session. I would like to thank Jeremy. Jeremy, thanks a lot for making it today and making it such an amazing webinar slash session. I think some of the things that you've shared with us, whether it were case studies or the questions that you answered, really insightful. Thanks a lot. And thank you to everyone who's joined in here. And you'll soon get an email with some key takeaways and also recording to this webinar so you can watch it and share it with whoever you want to. Uh, Thanks a lot. Watch this space for more. We plan to have many more webinars like these are around key trading events, which are very important for brands with a couple of strategies. We plan to do some interviews, podcasts, and this with key people like Jeremy coming on board. We hope Jeremy again on the next webinar or an interview maybe and quiz him a little more and pick his brain.
Right.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. Watch this space for more. Have a great Wednesday and have a
And I am
great
so
day,
jealous of you in
Jeremy.
India where you've got 1 billion people to market to. It's a huge market. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Jeremy. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody, for
Bye.
joining us. Bye then.